All right. Do plane losses matter? And I went ahead and said, kinda yes and kinda not. It's complicated. Why is it complicated? Okay, so first off, we're going to imagine a really basic scenario, and then we're going to kind of extrapolate that out into how it works in the game. So first off, we're gonna use our stupendous art skills to say that you've got your dude up front here holding a shield and stuff, tanking the boss. Don't die! And then you've got your cool wizard chick in the back casting spells and stuff. Lightning bolt. Lightning bolt. There we go. There's some lightning bolts and whatever. And they're coming toward this big, angry Grr monster with angry eyes and stuff. There we go. Giant slime beast with, like, arms and things. There's the big bad dude. It's a slime monster. And then we've got a nice green healer person back here throwing med packs at people. Yeah, so anyway, why do we draw all this? Well, one, because it's kind of silly and sometimes it's fun to have fun to enjoy yourself. But what if in this situation you're dealing 10 damage to the enemy? So bam, 10 damage. Bam, 10 damage. Well, what happens if at the same time that enemy is healing 10 health? Healing 10 health. Are you really getting anywhere? No. Well, what happens if you're dealing less than 10 damage? You're dealing only 7, but it's still dealing 10, so it stays at full health. Again, you're not necessarily getting ahead because of the healing mechanic. But what happens if you change this so that you're dealing 15 points of damage? 15 points of damage. Well, at this point, it might still be healing 10, but overall, it's down 5, it's down 10. If it has 20 health, you only have a little further to go, and then suddenly, it's dead. You've defeated the big bad monster. You've defeated the CV main. So I'm going to go through all that to say there is a regen mechanic in the game. The reason the regen mechanic is in the game is because it's a gating feature. It's actually supposed to hold carriers to a limited amount of planes at any given window of time, so that they can't just charge forward and rip ships apart, just throw all their stuff away in the first 5 minutes and kill a ship or two, and then just win the game off of that. It's supposed to gate, it's supposed to slow their ability to influence, but we have to remember that there's 3 types of planes. So we're gonna use some terrible drawing here. We've got some rockets, whatever. There's some flames and stuff. There were carrots, carrot planes, also good. We've got some torpedo planes, I don't know, whatever. It's a different looking dildo, basically. Anyway. And then we've got bombs, cool. So we'll make a big bomb looking thing. Awesome. Yay, there's a bomb. Why do we go through all this? Because if you assume, easy math, a +1 unit of each type per minute. When you come out with rockets, you do a thing and you lose 3 planes. Bam. Then you go out with torps, you do a thing, you lose 3 planes. Bam. You go out with bombs, you lose 3 planes. Bam. If this takes 1 minute per use, this takes 1 minute per use, this takes 1 minute per use, by the time you've gotten back, you've regened 3. So overall, you haven't necessarily lost anything. You've stayed at a steady state. Same thing, by the time you finish using this, you go back over to torps, you're back up, and it's equaled out. And on with this rotation. The CV is not pushed into a point where it's losing ground in terms of resources. Granted, it's still gated, so it doesn't have 30 bombs all at once. It only has maybe 10 or 12 or 18 or whatever it has in the tier on deck, but nonetheless, it's still staying at the same capability level. So in this instance, killing 3 planes means the CV is continuing to stay at its current influence. So we'll put this at somewhere in the middle. If you kill, for instance, 2 planes, 1 or 2 planes, the CV is actually gaining resources up to its cap, because there is a cap on the resources. And if it's losing more than 3 planes, losing 4, losing 5, losing 6, God forbid, losing 7, losing 8, losing 9, losing however many it's going to be doing, it's going away, it's losing resources, it's descending in terms of capability. So there's a cap limit, You can gain capability by striking against weak targets, or basically just not striking for a period of time. You can lose capability by striking into heavy targets. Ideally, a carrier's not going to run around looking to just YOLO all his planes, yeet all the pilots, and just move on with life. They're going to be trying to pick and choose targets which are going to be appropriate. You're going to deal an amount of damage, which is going to be worth the amount of planes that you lose. However, you'll find that when your team is losing, and you start having to pick hard targets and make some really uncomfortable choices, those plane losses stop being the 1s and 2s and 3s. They start being the 4s and 5s and 6s. They start being real uncomfortable, and you start draining out of resources real quick. Now, you do have 3 sources of resources to draw from, but when you're losing 5 and 6, when you have maybe 12 each, that first 6 loss, bam, you're in half. Again, you're in half. Again, you're in half. Maybe you've regen 2 planes. We'll bring you back up to 8. But if you're going to lose another 6, then you're down to 2s, and then you're pretty much just on fumes. You don't have anything. This will give you about 6 minutes of full bore, I'm throwing everything I've got at them, until you basically ping, your clip has basically gotten empty. And you might be able to scavenge around on the battlefield and find kind of an empty shell casing or a few bullets in somebody else's gun, shove them into yours so that you can actually get back out there and do something. But if you stay in this area for too long, you run yourself right out of resources. So if you're in a surface ship, if you're dealing 1 plane, if you're dealing 2 planes of damage, no, that may actually not be draining the resources from the CV and lowering its capability. You should be looking for amount correct for the tier. Tier 10, I'll actually go ahead and do this. So tier 10, tier 8, tier 6, tier 4. I'll be honest, I don't know the number for tier 4. I'm not really going to be that worried about it. Tier 10, you're probably looking to get 4 to 5 planes. This is going to be crippling. Less than 4 to 5, probably not crippling. For tier 8, probably 3 to 4. Tier 6, you're going to want in excess of 2. You're probably going to want 3, which is going to be fairly hard because tier 6A is actually rather weak. Tier 4, I think, it's a training tier, so I'm not exactly sure what to give you in terms of this number, but frankly, if you kill 2 planes per strike, that's going to get actually pretty... That's going to hurt. Normally, I think at tier 4, you would expect to lose maybe half a plane to 1 plane per strike, more on the half side. So if you're really reaching into that number 2, that's actually going to be long-term crippling. This is amazing art.